members and guests, the purpose of this service is to honor our country's flag, to celebrate the anniversary of its birth, and to recall the achievement attained beneath its folds. It is quite appropriate that such a service should be held by the Order of Elks, an organization that is distinctly American, intensely patriotic, and without counterpart. Esteemed leading knight, what are the fraternal aims of the benevolent and protective Order of Elks?
To inculcate the principles of charity, justice, brotherly love, and fidelity, to promote the welfare and happiness of mankind, to uphold our country and its laws, and to quicken the spirit of American patriotism.
Esteemed leading knight, what is the significance of the American flag?
It is emblematic of the crowning virtue, charity.
Esteemed loyal knight, what is the significance of the American flag?
It is emblematic of justice for all.
Esteemed lecturing knight, what is the significance of the American flag?
It is the symbol of brotherly love.
Lodge Esquire, what is the significance of the flag from the station of the exalted ruler?
It is the symbol of fidelity.
Charity, justice, brotherly love, and fidelity are the cardinal principles of our order, and they are exemplified in all of our services. By them, we teach love of country and of our countrymen, and loyalty to our American way of life. To be an Elk is to be an American citizen who lives for their country and is ready to die for it. Please stand. The chaplain will lead us in prayer.
Almighty God, in this hour of patriotic observance of the birthday of the American flag, we ask you to bless our flag and the people of the United States. For all that our flag represents, both at home and abroad, we thank you. And through all our history as a nation, it has been an ensign of freedom, liberty, and opportunity. And through the years to come, may this flag wave as a banner of liberty, freedom, and enlightenment. May this service bring to each of us a sense of loyalty to our country and enable us to be better patriots, truer citizens, and more loyal Americans. To thy glory and the honor of this great nation, amen.
Amen.
At this time, I would like to call on James Callan, who will read the history of the flag.
Good afternoon. Heraldry is as old as the human race. The carrying of banners has been a custom among all people in all ages. These banners usually contain some concept of the life or government of those who fashion them. The evolution of the American flag marks the progression of the government of the American people. From the founding of Jamestown in Virginia in 1607 until 1775, the flag of England was the flag of the peoples of America. In 1775, the pine tree flag was adopted for all colonial vessels, and this was the banner carried by the Continental forces in the Battle of Bunker Hill.
Father and I went down to Kent along with Captain Gooding. There we saw the banners going as thick as Macy Pudding. Yankee Doodle, twist it up, Yankee Doodle dandy. Fight with music and a step, and with the girls we handy.
The southern colonies from 1776 to 1777 used the snake flag. In the latter part of 1775, the Continental Congress appointed a committee to consider the question of a single flag for the 13 colonies. That committee recommended a design of 13 alternate stripes of red and white with an azure field in the upper corner bearing the red cross of St. George and the white cross of St. Andrew. John Paul Jones, the senior lieutenant of the flagship Alfred, hoisted this flag to the masthead on December 3rd, 1775, and 1 month later, it was raised over the headquarters of General Washington at Cambridge, Massachusetts, in compliment, as he wrote, to the United Colonies. This flag, called the Continental Colors and the Grand Union, was never carried in the field by the Continental Land Forces, but it was used by the Navy as its exclusive ensign and was the first American flag to receive a salute of honor, a salute of 11 guns from the Fort of Orange in the Dutch West Indies. In response to a general demand for a banner more representative of our country, the Congress on June 14, 1777 provided that the flag of the United States be 13 stripes of alternating red and white, and that the Union be 13 stars, white on a blue field, representing a new constellation. It is generally believed that in May or June of 1776, a committee consisting of George Washington, Robert Morris, and George Ross commissioned Betsy Ross, a Philadelphia Quakeress, to make a flag from a rough design they left with her. It is said that she suggested that the stars should have 5 points rather than 6. This starry banner was first flown at Fort Stanwix, called Fort Schuyler at the time, near the city of Rome, New York, on August 3rd, 1777, and was under fire 3 days later at the Battle of Oriskany, August 6, 1777, during a British and Indian attack. The first official salute to the Stars and Stripes was given on February 14, 1778, by France on the French coast when the Ranger, under command of John Paul Jones, was saluted by the French fleet. This flag, then carried by the Ranger, was made by the young women of Portsmouth, New Hampshire, from stripes of their best colored silk dresses and the white wedding gown of a recent bride. It is said that this same Ranger's flag was flown by Jones's ship, the Bonhomme Richard, in its thrilling fight by moonlight upon the high seas with the British frigate Serapis. When the Serapis struck her colors, the immortal fame of John Paul Jones was ensured as the intrepid defender of the youthful republic. The original 13 stars and stripes represented the original 13 colonies. In 1795, 2 additional stars and stripes were added to represent admission to the Union of Vermont and Kentucky. Under this banner of 15 stars and stripes was fought the War of 1812. It was the sight of it flying over Fort McHenry on September 14, 1814, that inspired Francis Scott Key to write what was become our national anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner. Miss Margaret Young, who cut the stars for that particular banner, was the mother of Henry Sanderson, the Grand Exalted Ruler of the Order of Elks in 1884. The Congress on April 14, 1818, adopted a resolution that on and after July 4, 1818, the number of stripes should be 13, and that the blue field should carry 1 star for each of the 20 states in the Union, and that a new star should be added for each state thereafter admitted. Since 1818, there has been no change in the flag design except that 28 new stars were added before July 4th, 1912. And this flag of 48 stars flew over this nation for 47 years until just before the Vietnam War.
You don't have to be afraid of what you are. There's an answer if you reach into the sun.
On July 4th, 1959, a star was added for Alaska, our first non-connected state, and a year later, Hawaii, our island state, added a 50th star. Our present flag, 50 stars and 13 stripes. It is accompanied by the POW MIA flag to recognize the plight and demise of a special group of our armed services. Those who were prisoners of war or still remain missing in action.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Now at this time, I would like to introduce the two Mass Maritime Cadets who demonstrate the 13 folds of our American flag. Cadet Justin Charisse and Cadet Jack Rose. The first fold of our flag is a symbol of life. The second fold is a symbol of our belief in eternal life. The third fold is made in honor and remembrance of the veterans departing our ranks who gave a portion of their lives for the defense of our country to attain peace throughout the world. The fourth fold represents our weaker nature. As for American citizens trusting in God, it is to Him we turn in times of peace as well as in time of war for His divine guidance. The fifth fold is a tribute to our country, for in the words of Stephen Decatur, our country in dealing with other countries may she always be right, but is still our country, right or wrong. The sixth fold is from where our hearts lie. It is with our heart that we pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The seventh fold is a tribute to our armed forces. For it is through the armed forces that we protect our country and our flag against all our enemies, whether they're found within or without the boundaries of our republic. The eighth fold is a tribute to the one who entered into the valley of the shadow of death, that we might see the light of day. The ninth fold is a tribute to womanhood and mothers. It has been through their faith, their love, loyalty, and devotion that the character of the men and women who have made this country great has been molded. The 10th fold is a tribute to the father, for he too has given his sons and daughters for defense of our country since they were first born. The 11th fold represents the lower portion of the seal of King David and King Solomon and glorifies in the Hebrews' eyes the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The 12th fold represents an emblem of eternity and glorifies in the Christian's eyes God the Father, the Son, and Holy Spirit. The 13th fold, and when the flag is completely folded, the stars are uppermost, reminding us of our nature's motto, in God we trust. After the flag is completely folded and tucked in, it takes on the appearance of a cocked hat, ever reminding us of the soldiers who served under General George Washington and the sailors and Marines who served under Captain John Paul Jones, who were followed by their comrades and shipmates in the armed forces of the United States, reserving for us the rights, privileges, and freedoms we enjoy today. I'd like to introduce past exalter Raymond Rock to receive the flag.
I have, as loyal Americans, so it is close to our altar as loyal Elks. The gentle breezes, with lingering caress, kiss the folds of no flag which can compare with it in beauty. There is no such red in budding rose, in falling leaf, or sparkling wine. No such white in April blossom, in crescent moon, or mountain snow. No such blue in woman's eye, in ocean's depth, or heaven's dome. No such pageantry of clustering stars and streaming light in all the spectrum of the sea and sky. At ease and please be seated.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. Mountains to the prairies, to the ocean, white with foam. God bless America, my home sweet home. Mountains to the prairies, to the ocean, white with foam. God bless America, my home sweet home.
And noblest in all history. In the days when peoples of the old world groveled in abject homage to the heresy of the divine right of kings, a new constellation appeared in the western skies, the Stars and Stripes, symbolizing the divine right of all to life, liberty, happiness, peace, under the endowment by their Creator. To what man or woman is given words adequate to tell the story of the building of this nation? That immortal story is written in blood and sweat, in heroic deeds, and unremitting toil, in clearing the primeval forests and in planting of vast prairies where once the coyote and buffalo roamed. Onward swept the nation, spanning wide rivers, leaping vast mountain ranges, leaving in its path villages and farms, factories and cities, till at last this giant nation stood astride the continent from the Atlantic to the Pacific. This is the heritage of the people of the United States. It has been repurchased by each succeeding generation and must be re-won again, again, and again until the end of time, lest it too shall pass like the ancient empires of Greece and Rome. The price of liberty is eternal vigilance. What was won at Lexington and Concord and Bunker Hill had to be repurchased at Ticonderoga and Yorktown. What John Paul Jones achieved upon the high seas in the War of 1812, in the War of Independence, had to be repurchased by Commodore Perry on Lake Erie in the War of 1812. The prestige of Admiral Dewey's victory at Manila Bay in 1898 was re-won by the naval battles in the seas about the far distant islands of the Pacific after the sneak attacks upon Pearl Harbor and Manila in 1941 had summoned our country to assume its role in World War II. What our troops achieved under the Stars and Stripes at Chateau Thierry and Flanders in World War I, their sons were required to repurchase the World War II in the bloody trek across northern Africa, on the beachheads of Europe, and in the Battle of the Bulge. The flag our American men raised at Iwo Jima was the same flag later raised in the defense of Incheon, Busan, and Pork Chop Hills in far-off Korea. Then another generation under the same flag led to stem the threat of communism in far-off Vietnam. Our young people were again called to carry our flag in the defense of a free world in the actions in Grenada and Panama. Willingly, our brave men and women carried our flag in the honor of the American people into the battle in Operation Desert Storm. And who among us will ever forget the sight of firefighters raising our flag over the ruins of the World Trade Center, the military personnel draping our flag on the side of the Pentagon, or the citizens of Somerset County, Pennsylvania, placing our flag near the site where brave Americans died fighting the hijackers of Flight Number 93. No other symbol could have offered such comfort as we will today endure the horrors of that day. Today, American armed forces carry our flag in the villages of Iraq, the mountains of Afghanistan, and the jungles of the Philippines, and wherever terrorism may reside. Their struggle against the sponsors of terrorism is the hardest battle yet, and this threat to our nation and to our way of life is certainly as great a challenge as our flag has ever seen. The resurgence of patriotism since September 11, 2001 has rekindled respect for our flag. Today we see the Star-Spangled Banner wherever we turn, on homes, businesses, automobiles, and billboards. Such displays stimulate our love for our nation and for what it stands. They remind us of the sacrifices being made by the men and women of our armed forces around the world, and they are a tribute to the heroes of the police and fire departments our nation over. The greatest significance of this flag, however, lies in the influence it has in the hearts and minds of millions of people. It has waved over the unparalleled progress of a nation in developing democratic institutions, scientific and technological knowledge, education, and culture. It has served as a beacon for millions of poor and oppressed refugees abroad and stands as a promise that the underprivileged will not be forgotten. What is the meaning of the flag of the United States of America? There can never be a definite answer to that question. There are people in this world who see it as a symbol of imperialism. Others see it as the destiny of the people. A reference to these and similar views of the flag was resolved by Woodrow Wilson when he said, "This flag, which we honor and under which we serve, is the emblem of our unity, our power, our thought, and shape of this nation. It has no other character than that which we give it from generation to generation. The choices are ours. Only love, true love of our fellow man can create peace. The emblem and token of that love is the stars and stripes, the symbol of the American way of life."
Lodge Esquire. How shall we further honor the flag?
The flag is formally honored by the Pledge of Allegiance. This pledge was written in 1892 by Francis Bellamy and published in the Youth's Companion as part of a patriotic campaign of that magazine. The pledge did not become part of the flag code until 1942, and in 1954 the phrase "under God" was added.
Let us all stand and pledge ourselves never to forget the principles represented by this flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated.
We've got a wonderful guest speaker today. His name is Senior Chief Bill Ostrander. Bill Ostrander, Senior Chief, has served his country faithfully for 23 years in the United States Navy. He'll be retiring next week in a ceremony at Mass Maritime Academy. Senior Chief will end his watch after serving over 3 years of his 23 years in the Navy, training young midshipmen to be Navy officers, both active and reserve. To his credit, he sent reserve, active, midshipmen, officer ensigns to various careers, some of them being underwater demolition, pilot slots, navigator slots, and nuclear submarine. Senior Chief, career, has been with the Nuclear Navy on submarines and aircraft carriers. Please welcome a good friend of mine and also one of the most respected enlisted men at the Mass Maritime, soon to be retiring. Senior Chief Bill Ostrander.
I would like to begin today by thanking Jim Callan and the members of the Elks Lodge and all of you for taking time out of your busy day and schedules to come here and give tribute to such a great symbol of our nation. Our national ensign, Old Glory, Stars and Stripes, the red, white, and blue. It is known by many names. It has evolved in her image since the original design of the 13 stripes and stars. However, what it symbolizes has remained the same. Our flag carries such deep and powerful symbolism, regardless of the individual. When I was asked to speak today, I started to try and figure out what wisdom could I pass along. And it's not so much about wisdom, but I thought maybe to talk about what the flag means to me and what it has done for me in the 23 years of my naval service, many times spent away or underwater from my friends and loved ones. To be honest, there is not enough time in the day nor words in my vocabulary to express this. I will do my best to be brief and give some insight here today. I gain solace in telling others what it means by showing, through my actions, each day, each moment, and each decision. In a recent conversation with my mother, an Air Force veteran herself, she talked about the symbolism of the Old Glory and, interestingly enough, the Navy core values of honor, courage, and commitment. The white stripes we see symbolize purity and innocence. I strive to embody and reflect this through honor. The Navy's Charter on Core Values states honor means I am accountable for my professional and personal behavior. I will be mindful of the privilege I have to serve my fellow Americans. I will abide by an uncompromising code of integrity, taking full responsibility for my actions and keeping my word. I will conduct myself in the highest ethical manner in relationships with seniors, peers, and subordinates. And I will be honest and truthful in my dealings. The red stripes signify valor and bravery. The Navy core value of courage is the value that gives me the moral and mental strength to do what is right. The confidence and resolution, even in the face of temptation or adversity. The field of blue signifies vigilance, perseverance, and justice. The Navy core value of commitment embodies this idea. The day-to-day duty of every man and woman in the Navy is to join together as a team to improve the quality of our work, our people, and ourselves. I've talked to you about how and the what so far today. But for me, my greatest realization to date has been not about the how or the what, but the why. We all have ideas and perceptions about what we do in our life and how we want to go about it, but it is the why that shows our true colors. My red, white, and blue. Why did our forefathers stand up against tyranny and a major world power of the time? Why has our nation withstood the test of time? Why have they succeeded and why did we fail? Why do our nation's young men and women give, and yet also young men and women of other nations give an oath of allegiance to defend what our flag stands for today? My why is an attempt to even slightly earn the honor and privilege to be an American. Not because I was born with that right, it is my duty to repay the debt paid in blood, sweat, and tears of those that have gone before me, those that are with me, and those that will, inevitably continue on after me. My why is so that those that I love, those that I know, those that I have yet to meet, and even those that look down upon the true ideals of our nation and what this symbol of freedom stands for, so that they do not have to sacrifice or struggle. I thank each of you again for coming here today to take time out of your busy days and lives to pay respect for something bigger than yourselves. I hope that today reminds you of your own why and refuels your own fuel tank to keep the flame of liberty and justice burning bright and strong, providing the warmth and comfort to those around us while weathering the storms on the horizon. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to introduce our state rep, Susan Williams Gifford. It's my pleasure and honor, and she is also a member of the Wareham, New Bedford Lodge of Elks, and my friend Susan. Thank you. Unfortunately, most times I don't need one of these, but today I do, so I'm glad that it's here. I first want to thank you, Joan, for allowing me to be part of this celebration of our flag. And I also did want to say thank you to the Wareham Fire Department for your service and your patriotism and for bringing the beautiful, beautiful flag that I absolutely never, ever get tired of seeing. So thank you very much. I suppose myself, like many people, didn't know how we came to observe a day for our flag. So I thought I would do a little bit of research about that today and share that with you. On June 14th of 1777, the Continental Congress passed a resolution officially designating the Stars and Stripes as the official flag of the newly formed country, according to the History Channel. It decreed that the flag of the United States should be 13 stripes, alternate red and white, and that the Union should be 13 stars, white in a blue field representing the constellation, which you've already heard here today. From there, the origins of Flag Day are unclear. Several people are credited with creating the holiday, but the timeline generally starts in the late 19th century. A Wisconsin man named B.J. Segrand decided that people should celebrate the official birthday of our banner. So he proposed and helped organize a Flag Day celebration that featured children, according to the National Flag Day Foundation. This occurred just around the time that New Yorker George Bulge held a ceremony of his own for Flag Day in 1889, and Elizabeth Duane Gillespie pushed for a similar observance in Pennsylvania in 1893, according to a guide produced by the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. A gentleman by the name of William Kerr has also been credited with launching the Flag Day movement with his 1888 establishment of the American Flag Day Association of Western Pennsylvania, which became a lifelong passion for him. He was a strong personality and a force of will, Kerr's grandson Thomas Kerr said in 2012. He had no secretary, and he did this all himself. As legend has it, Kerr had spoken with Woodrow Wilson and inspired the U.S. president to issue a proclamation in 1916 calling for June 14th to be named Flag Day. Calvin Coolidge followed up with a proclamation of his own in 1927, as did Franklin Roosevelt in 1942. But it was Harry S. Truman, the president, who finally signed a Congress-approved Flag Day into law in 1949. Truman said in his proclamation, "It is our custom to observe June 14th each year with ceremonies designed not to only commemorate the birth of our flag, but to rededicate ourselves to the ideals for which it stands. This beloved emblem, which flies above all our people, whatever creed and race, signalizes our respect for human rights and protection of such rights that are afforded under our form of government." So today, we remember the origins of Old Glory and what it means 241 years after its adoption. Woodrow Wilson said in 1915, "I venture to say that a great many things are said about the flag, which very few people stop to analyze. For me, the flag does not express a mere body of vague sentiment. The flag of the United States has not been created by rhetorical sentences in declarations of independence and in the Bill of Rights. It has been created by the experience of a great people, and nothing is written upon it that has not been written by their life. It is the embodiment not of a sentiment, but of a history." Thank you very much for allowing me to be with you on this great occasion. It's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Ted Hatch.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to close out our ceremony today with a song made famous back in 1966 by Sergeant Barry Sadler, The Ballad of the Green Beret.
Sliding soldiers from the sky, fearless men who jump and die, men who mean just what they say, the brave men for the Green Beret. Silver wings upon their chest, these are men, America's best. 100 men will test today, but only 3 Green Beret, trained to live off nature's land, trained in combat, hand to hand, men who fight by night and day, courage take, Green Beret, silver wings upon their chest. These are men, America's best. 100 men
will test today, but only three. Back at home, a young wife waits. Her green beret has met his fate. He has died for those oppressed, leaving her last request. Put silver wings on my son's chest. Make him one of America's best. He'll be a man, he'll test one day. Have him win a green beret. Wah!
Again, we would like to thank you very much for joining us. You're all invited to the dining room to have collation immediately following, and I'd like to again thank the Wareham Fire Department for all that you do. Thank you very, very much. And our cadets from the Mass Maritime. You are amazing. Thank you so much. I'd also like to thank the officers for being here. Teddy, Pat, Jim Callan, and Ray Rock, and everyone else who organized this. Thank you so very much for coming. Enjoy your day.
The Elks first started celebrating Flag Day and making it part of their ritual service in 1868. And it's a ceremony that is a part of our creed, and it's a ceremony that is national and something that is extremely fond and dear to my heart. We've been doing it since the inception of the lodge, because every lodge throughout the United States of America has to do that as part of their charter. I think we did very well. I think the weather was on our side. We were fortunate enough to have the fire department here to raise the flag. Last year it was too windy, so we couldn't have the fire department with a ladder truck here. But it makes all the difference in the world, makes it really pretty. The key message they should take out of Flag Day is to honor their country.
And that is something that not only to be done in June 14th, but
Year-round, every day.
It's definitely an honor and a privilege to be able to come out today and pay tribute. Again, as small as it is, it's there's not enough time or words to be able to express the gratitude that I have for what our flag stands for, and to be able to reflect on that sacrifice is definitely means a lot, especially with getting ready to transition and retire after such a long career in the Navy. It makes you step back and think. I would again almost go back to it's not so much about the how or the what of what the flag is about, or the how or the what of what we should do, but more so the why behind it is really, I think, the key, where you can kind of dig deep and really understand what it truly means, and not just because of, oh, I believe this way or I feel this way. We're all together. That is the beauty of our nation, is we're all a melting pot, and getting those different points of view, and remembering that the why of we are where we are today.